Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where we talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Resident Alien, the mid-season finale, apparently, because I didn't know that was happening. But regardless, a great episode. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. First and foremost, poor David. It's like, well, Lisa's dead, and they're like, oh, David's alive, trying to bargain for his freedom, but he gets shot. Now, whether he's dead or not, he's probably a good chance he's dead, but also it keeps the general from getting that orb, so that's not good. But we see that the alien that shot him, I saw that dude, like, I've seen him and stuff from time to time, but most recently he was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He was in the final season. He's actually tied to Agent Carter. I want to say it's that actor. I'm blanking on his, wasn't his character named Daniel from in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. / Agent Carter. I want to say that was that actor. We only got a quick little look at him. But then, like, the moment his eyes did the thing, I was like, wait, he's an alien too? I was like, wait, what's going on here? I was like, is Harry's species people actually here already? That ends up being a whole plot point we're going to get to later on. But, okay, so David's dead now after, I mean, great that David didn't get it nearly as hard as Lisa did the last episode, but both of them are dead. The general kind of walks away from this situation with nothing, still believing Ethan to be an alien, which I love. Just at the same time, Harry's dealing with the cool, I've got a baby hatching, and at the same time, there's this party being thrown for me because it is Ben's roundabout way trying to convince Harry to become the town doctor, but rather than being upfront, he's trying to woo him in his own way. So, which I love that. I love that, like, Ellen, when the moment we see that she's babysitting Sahara and Max, I'm like, who decided that? I was like, that was a stupid thing Ben decided to do, wasn't it? Because even later on, it's like, don't you guys have a babysitter? And they're like, it was Ellen. Austin was like, that's all you need to say. I'm like, whose bright idea was that? She's like, oh yeah, like, in case, like, if you're ever, like, dressed in your nurse's uniform and your nurse scrubs, and then you, like, run with something, people will just let you go, so that's how you get stuff for free. I'm like, you are such a shady human being. And then she's like, yeah, like, the mayor's doing this whole birthday thing to celebrate, trying to get, like, Harry Vanderspiegel to be, like, the new doctor in town. Yeah, it was a secret. I pretty much told everybody. I'm like, I love that. And Sahara in particular just looking so disgusted, like, wow, you're a terrible person, Ellen. To the point they can, make her watch a video so she falls asleep. And they're like, where are you going? And they're like, oh, we're going out. He's like, fine, just be back before your parents get here and don't do any drugs. And just Sahara's like, she's a awful babysitter, dude. I love it. I'm like, who's, like, it had to be Ben's. To be fair, Ben, obviously he wanted, this is all for the greater good of, like, oh, we need a doctor in town, and so probably Ellen decided, like, oh, I'm getting paid for this too, alright, I'll do that, or either she's getting a favor out of Ben from doing this. I don't know what her justification for jumping on this opportunity for it was, but nevertheless, at the party, everyone's celebrating, everyone's happy, and just like, right, Dan, Harry, and Asa, the only ones who know they're like the truth of like what's really going on. Is like, cool, I got an alien baby, let me take care of this. There's just so much going on at the party. I love it. One of my favorite interactions is when, like, it's such a simple thing when Liv is fixing her a drink and she drops it in there, she's like, and then like you have Mike coming over. He's like, oh, how's it punch? And she's like, I dropped it. And he was like, what? And she's like, what? 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 I'm like, I love that. And just Mike standing there looking like, what the fuck? Just, what was that conversation? I love that. It's so good and awkward. I love that it's such a small thing that she's such an awkward human being. I adore Liv so much. It's so cute that she decided to do that. Like, she's just so awkward like that. I love it. So, all that's happening. There's also like the deviled egg thing where she's like, yeah, I stole the recipe from my grandmother's desk about when I was 10 years old. She's hated me ever since. She even says that she hopes she dies soon enough so she can start haunting me for the rest of my life, which Ben was like, I'm not going to take these eggs. I want to take the chance I get haunted. But he tastes them. He's like, oh my God, this is so good. She's like, you doubted eggs. He's like, no, I never doubted any eggs. So the entire party, like, they carry the bit on a little bit longer later on when he's got the deviled eggs and she snatches it from him. He's like, no, I wasn't. Oh, I was like, oh, poor Ben. He can't get another one. Especially when Darcy's like, oh my God, the second one's even better. It's almost like you can feel the farmer being told, like, told to come in for dinner. And he's like, hey, Ma. You know, it's just like, he's like, I want to feel that. Poor Ben. And I think what's kind of also neat about this too is we get a little more progression with Mike. The fact is that he's willing to tell more stories about his partner Jesse. That he's kind of like he's found a way forward. Even to the point he talking to Dan, he's like, "Oh, I want to spread his ashes," and Dan's like, "That's good." It's like, yeah, it is a nice little thing that he's able to openly talk about Jesse because he'd never referenced Jesse before, and now he's able to talk about it openly, like some about their misadventures and stuff. And I thought that was really a really nice progression for him. Obviously you have Liv opening up to Asta about like, hey, so I think I saw an alien space, and Asta's almost like, you know, she's interested because she's like, wait, you did? So it's like, right. She knows that Harry wasn't the first one here. She knows Goliath was here. So that could have easily maybe have been Goliath's ship. Maybe. Or maybe, you know, so it's like, or maybe like this other alien species because it looks different from the ship Harry has. Because this one was more spherical. This is the one that Liv saw is your more traditional UFO, but the one that the general saw when she was a little girl is kind of more similar to the one Harry has. So I'm thinking the ship that Liv saw all those years ago isn't like Goliath's. It was the other ship, the other alien species that's here. So which we'll talk about in a little bit, but I love that, like, Asta probably wants to, you know, but it's like, oh, you know, no, there'd be no aliens in Patience, right? And then you have Harry in the background eating like the weirdo he is. I love him leaving out candy. He's like, oh yeah, I'm just eating birthday candy. But I'm like, my brain immediately thinks of like the whole James Wood Family Guy bit. Ooh, piece of candy. Oh, piece of candy. Like, I cannot see that, like, like that's always going to be my pop culture reference to that. Ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy. Just because of like the way he's got it trailed out like that. That was the first thing that immediately came to my mind. But this episode, like it's so much fun. There's so much like obviously like the sulfur smell in the air is because the baby ended up hatching, and Harry's not even telling Asta the truth. Asta only found out because she found she saw the baby in the toilet. So but it's like, yeah, the baby, it's like, no, the baby's going to come back, eat its shell. It's like, okay, good. And then it's going to eat all of us. I even love Harry saying, like, it's going to eat me too. Because I guess he makes it sound like it's going to eat him as well. Because I guess because his physiology has changed to be more human-like to fit in to look like a human. So because of that, like, the baby won't be able to distinguish between him and a human. There is no distinguishment. So it probably would end up, well, it seems like the baby knows enough to distinguish him, but he made it sound like it would eat him as well. So, I don't know. I was so curious to see what the baby was going to look like being half human. It's like, no, it looks mainly like an alien. It looks mainly like Harry and his species. I love that when Sahar and Max got there, it's like, oh, there's a raccoon, and it proceeded to devour the raccoon, and they're just like sitting there in horror. I was like, that's got to be traumatizing. And then like they run away and climb to the top of the tree, and it's like, oh my god, that means like Harry's procreating, like there's more of his species here and stuff like that. So I even love, like, because the only reason why they're there is to warn Asta that the military might be bad, because they're under the impression that Ethan was the alien. And I love that Max is like, yeah, I told him that. And she's like, is your brain in your butt? He's like, I hope not. And she's like, it didn't cross your mind to tell us anyone this information before now? So it's like, the moment they find out Ethan's not the alien, they're going to come back. Once again, Lisa's dead, so she died. She went to the grave not knowing that... She went to the grave knowing that Harry was the alien. So it buys them a little bit of time, but now knowing there's another alien species here, that might give them even more time. Maybe, maybe not. They probably won't necessarily 100% draw them towards Harry, but we'll see. But I really like the whole, I mean, of course it's going to end up the way it did. There's going to be so many fights. Of course, like, so much drama was going to present itself because there were so many secrets going on. The fact is that there's the whole, you know, Darcy being there for Kate. Even maybe like, oh yeah, you can piss, like, you know, don't worry, I'm gonna hold this. And it's like, and you're pissing on my hand. Okay. And later on, it's like, no, don't worry, I've been peed on before. And Kate's like, you have? She's like, I kind of like it too. And she's like, I was talking about a frog peeing on, and Kate's like, yeah, frog, of course, me too. I was like, wow, Kate, this entire season is just like, yo, Kate's a freak. I love that. I was like, I had to rewind. I was like, whoa, did she just say that? I was like, wow. And she thought like Darcy was on board. It's like, you kind of thought, well, Darcy's, I don't know if Darcy would necessarily be called a freak, because like, you know, like obviously they had that bit back and forth between her and Trudy about the whole like, oh you, hey there slut, like, oh, who you calling, like that's their thing. But it's like, not that's anything, but like that's why I'm like, the reason I'm saying, because I don't know if she'd be considered like freaky when it comes to like sex. I think it's just kind of like the stereotype is like, right, she's very free with what she does, but I don't know if she necessarily is freaky. So like Kate just, I think it's supposed to add into the fact is that Kate's so reserved, at least seems so observed, but it seemed like all that sexual stuff just like came out of nowhere. It's like, ooh, we beat up these people, and it's like, ooh, we're so hot and heavy and dirty, and it's like, oh, they have like some really like freaky sex, dude. I even love after the arguments and everything, what do? They go in the bathroom, because it's like, even Kate's like, yeah, we don't talk about stuff. Like, anytime anything gets slightly uncomfortable, we have sex. And it's like, oh, let's have this conversation. Yeah, having a baby is complicated. And they proceed to have sex. The lights go out. Didn't stop them at all. Like, Asta and Dan are going by the dorm being like, ugh, that's, you know, it's like you're banging it out in the dark, knowing there are other people in the house with you, but they probably think like, oh, that makes it hotter. You can tell they're kind of doing the role play thing too. It's just like, wow, you guys have no shame. Not even knowing the fact is your son was downstairs in the basement. Good thing he didn't come up to hear that. I bet you Dan was like, oh, you guys want to be careful going by this door. I would love it if like next episode, whatever, Dan's walking by the door with the kids. They're like, whoa, what are you doing here? And it's just like, or Max happens to walk by the bathroom and hears that. And like, I don't know, like, because maybe they're done by the time Dan was meant to get the kids home, but he would have had to walk past that bathroom, you know, so. But it is kind of sad that so much stuff came to light. It's like, wait, you're building a resort here, which everyone knows. Once again, no one can keep a secret in this town, because Mike ended up telling Liv. Liv ended up telling everyone else. Apparently, the only people who didn't know was Kate, Asta, and Darcy were the only ones who didn't know that's what he was doing, because he was keeping it top secret. But it's like, you building a resort here is going to destroy like what makes patience. So all of them were saying it was a bad idea. Even Liv was saying it was a bad idea. But it's like, right, finding out that him and Darcy kind of went on a little bit of adventure. It's like, wait, you had drugs hidden in my son's room? It's like, yes, to be fair, it was back in high school. I hid it in there years ago, back when I was banging your husband. She was like, I was trying to go for like a big joke there. Was this probably not the best time for it? It's like, no, not the best time for it. Then, like, I love Mike tries to step in. It's like, okay, it's not his fault. It was Darcy that kissed him. Wait, you kissed my husband? It's like, cool, Mike. Cool. If you were listening so hard, you should have paid attention to the fact of what they were arguing about. So you made things 1,000 times. So all the secrets came out. Her secret about being pregnant, him hanging out with Darcy, tucking her into Max's bed. It's like, well, you slept in like a 10-year-old's bed? It's like, yes. She was like, and it was awful. But what hurts Kate the most is that for her, she's saying all the stuff that Darcy's insecure about. Like, right, like you're too afraid of a single man. So it's almost like, right, you go after Ben because he's unavailable, and someone that actually is available, you're too scared to put yourself out there because you're so much of a mess. And I love that she's like, I'm not a mess. And it's just like, her coworker as well as Liv's SO is kind of like, that's kind of dead on. Harry being like, you are kind of needy. And she's like, great. Of course men are going to take another man's side. Liv, you don't think I'm like that. Liv's like, oh, what? You need me over here? You know, so even she recognizes at the end, she's like, right, like, what is wrong with me? Like, the moment, like, anything, like, commitment to, like, someone that is available, it does scare her. She's like, I ruined everything with, like, Elliot, you know, and, you know, you had Asa convince her just to start off by texting hi. It's like, all right, I'm going to have to wait 2 weeks for him to text. Oh, my God, he texted me back at me. It's like, oh, so you're going to text him back? She's like, no, like, what am I, desperate? I'm going to wait a couple days. I was like, I guess it's part of that, I do it out of social awkwardness. I don't know if it's not part of the game. It's like, I would do that with anyone. Asa had a really nice moment between her and Jay, which I thought was kind of neat. Jay's like, yeah, it's my 18th birthday coming up. I mean, she's like, you should know how to. He's like, yeah, I was there. But it's like, yeah, I'd love to, like, you know, go for like lunch or something. She's like, I'd love that. It's like, okay, cool. Come pick me up at like 1 o'clock or something. I'm like, And like, you know, Asta was like super happy about it because like she's been nervous about making progress with Jay. I love the whole time. Oh, Jay's here. Pretend like you're talking to me. And Liv's like, I am talking to you right now. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry. I get a little antsy, you know, awkward around Jay. And it's like, now, like, she was just waiting for Jay to reach out. And now that she has, it's like, wait, there's no pressure for me. You decided to do that on your own. You want to spend time together. Like, I love that. You know. Because I love that it's like, oh yeah, because I also was like, oh, she's starting to drive now, and Liv's like, yeah, she is. She's one of our repeat customers. I was like, what? It's like, yeah, she's got 6 tickets, and she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. It's like, it's okay. I was like, oh, that's hilarious, because I was like, I didn't get at first I was like, repeat customer, what does that mean? And you see said the 6 ticket things. I was like, oh, okay, I see that. I love that. Maybe not repeat customer. She might have said like she's one of our regulars or something like that. She was kind of implying like you get what I'm trying to say. I was just like, I love that little bit. And I love that Harry being the selfish prick that he is. It's like, yeah, the only reason, it's like, right, we should get people out of here. Like, the whole point was to get them out because he wanted people out. Because it's like, oh, you're trespassing, you should all be arrested. But he wanted people to stay the moment he's like, oh, Jay can bring pie. And I love later on, he's like, oh, I'm going to take this pie because Harry's love pie. You guys can have the garbage cake. Because he doesn't like cake. But oh boy, does he love pie. And speaking of Liv, there is a whole situation with her getting some memory back. So part of me wonders, because she sees an alien, so that's why I'm like, is that her? Well, because Harry was looking like Harry when he wiped their memories. So could it be a deeper recess of her memory? Like, could it be that she did have a run-in with an alien when she was younger and she doesn't remember it because her memory was wiped? Maybe there's something of that nature. I'm surprised her SO was like, yo, what are you going to do about it? Like, he's really, like, supportive of it, which is really nice because no one else supports her. But she's like, right, I'm going to bring in the alien finder. If I remember correctly, isn't that Terry O'Quinn's character from last season? I want to say that was his character. Maybe I'm misremembering. Maybe? I don't know. If that is the case, because she's like, right, we're going to have an alien finder to find an alien that's hidden here in Patience. It's like, cool. This is going to get complicated, but to be fair, Harry's not the only alien we know now, so... Because it turns out Goliath left a message inside the baby to give to Harry. So it turns out his people is like, our people aren't coming to this planet. And he's like, why? Because they're afraid. Because I guess they're at war with another species that's already... either this species that's trying to take over Earth already is a long time running like adversary to his species, or just his species in general is afraid of them. We don't know about the history. Whatever it is, Goliath knew a lot about it. So that's what this is all about. So Harry was worried about his people coming, but it's like, no, there's already another alien species here trying to invade. But if you take them out, will that mean eventually Harry's people would come? Like, what is going on here? Like, why are they here on Earth? Like, why are they trying to conquer Earth? Are they going to try and stop Harry? You know, like, when did his people find out that these aliens were here? Like, is that really why they sent Harry? Harry wasn't here to kill the human race. Maybe his real mission was to kill these aliens here because you couldn't let them get another foothold in the universe type of thing. Almost like a Viltrumite, like, was it kind of like a Viltrumite type of situation, like an Invincible type of thing going on there, where it's like, Harry's people wants the planet, but it's like, if we can't have the planet and they're trying to get it, but we can't let them get another foothold in this universe, so let's destroy the planet and hoping to kill them, you know, making it seem like we're after humans, because that means like Harry knew nothing about this other species, yet Goliath did, and his species knows enough not to come here, but so why send Harry in the first place, you know? So there's something there that I'm really interested to find out more about, like what that is. Granted, there's also the element of, cool, at that moment, we had seen him earlier in the episode, the Galvin Powell guy that Harry and Asta, well, mainly Harry talked to in New York, came here to finish Harry off because he blamed Harry. He's like, yeah, you killed our 2 people, you shot him. I was like, to be fair, that was Lisa, and she's dead, but whatever. And it's like, right, I should have never let you kill Sam, I should have handled it myself. And so he's here to kill Harry. And he shoots Harry, but I was like, well, a gunshot's not going to be enough to actually keep Harry down, so it doesn't seem... I think he's going to be fine afterwards. I think probably like a couple gunshots probably would have done something. Single gunshot, no. So Asta steps in, shoots, and kills the guy, and then you have Darcy there to witness all of it. It's like, cool. Cool, cool, cool. And that's got to be a lot for Asta. It's like she just killed someone. Granted, it was in defense of Harry, but still. So, quite the mid-season sting. That was fascinating. Once again, did not know this was a mid-season finale thing until, like, it's like, oh, the Resident Alien mid-season finale starts now. I'm like, wait, what? So, because last season was only 10 episodes, so I was assuming this season was going to be the same. So I'm curious, is it a situation that this season is just that much longer? Is it like an actual 16-episode season? Or is it just going to be like, it's actually 13, but it's taking what would be, it's more like a spring break finale rather than a mid-season, like that's what I'm, or is it a full 16? Because it's not something I'm used to. Most things I've ever watched on, maybe there's been exceptions of it, but most things I watch on Syfy have always been like that 10 to 13 episode range, you know? So for something to be a little bit longer, like I said, maybe it is 13 and it's only like the next 5 episodes, or it is like a full 16 episodes. It's gonna be, like I said, I wasn't aware of this season being longer, but just that, whether it's 5 or 8 more episodes, I'm excited either way to know there's that much more Resident Alien potentially left. So I'm excited. We don't get a specific date when to expect it, just summer, which summer's not that far away. I mean, we're nearing the end of March, somewhat. We're like 2 weeks left in March. So like, it's probably gonna be like June, July, August. So it's not that far away, but I'm excited to see where the rest of the season takes us. I am curious, like, is it just like, production wise, like with everything still going on, like did they have to halt their production for any particular reason? Is that why the season's kind of getting split up the way it is, or what, you know? Or maybe just because this season is longer than more typical Syfy seasons, so they've been, I mean, because I would have to say, like, the longest show season I've ever really known was season 5 of Haven, because that's 26 episodes, but that's because they split the 5th season into 2 parts, so that's the only reason why that's technically such a long season. So I'm wondering, is they kind of doing, it seems like, I guess, maybe this could be seen as like a season A, season B thing, or I don't know if they'd even look at it like that. Like I said, it really just depends on whether it is like a full 16 episode thing, like a Walking Dead thing, or is it just like no, it's like 5 extra episodes because like it's only 13. Either way, I'm excited to see where the show takes us. We got a little sneak peek of, like, obviously Mike heard the gunshot, so granted, Asta did kill him in defense, and because he did shoot Harry, but then you're gonna have to cover up the fact is, like, right, if Harry gets examined, it's like, cool, it's gonna be recognized as, oh, there's something off with his biology. Then we got this other alien species. We've got the government. We got Liv and her investigation into aliens and stuff. There's the baby running them up because we don't know where the baby went after Harry got shot. So need to track it down. Harry's got to erase the baby. Probably do all that in secret. Where do all these other dynamics go? Everything between Kate and Darcy, they were definitely bonding and becoming friends. What does that look like now? What about Ben and Kate? Are they going to be better now after, like, you know, they banged it out, but it's like, right, they banged it out instead of actually talking about their issues. So we'll have to wait and see where the rest of the season takes us when it returns this summer. I'm excited to see what happens next. But really, that's all I'm going to talk about. So next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.